I think we're live. So if you can hear us, welcome to the Carolina Weather Group. I'm Scotty Powell along with Evan Fisher. We're going to talk about some winter weather. Evan, I'm going to push some buttons. So do you want to feel some air while I push buttons?
Sure. Yeah, so currently we are watching precipitation move into western North Carolina. If you're just now getting to see this forecast, we're expecting a winter storm to move through western North Carolina, northwestern South Carolina, and even portions of the western and northern Piedmont over the next 12 to 24 hours. Currently, we're in the very early stages of this thing. We're watching the first precipitation move up through Rutherford, Polk, Buncombe, and McDowell counties in kind of southern, southwestern, central western North Carolina, if that makes sense. And we are seeing flakes. Matter of fact, my location currently outside of Asheville, we've got big, heavy, wet flakes and some light accumulation already. Now, looking ahead, we are looking at a general forecast for the western mountains of 3 to 6 inches, with some locally higher totals, especially along the higher elevations of the Blue Ridge Escarpment. As you get to northwestern Vermont, we're looking at 2 to 4 inches for the best areas, 1 to 3 if you're a little bit further south, and then once you get down towards Charlotte, maybe a trace to an inch is probably your best bet. We're going to see the snowfall continue for at least another 18 hours. We could see this initial band of precipitation move through tonight into tomorrow morning, just through daybreak, dropping accumulation across western NC. And then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, that's when we see the best snowfall chances in places like upstate South Carolina, the Charlotte area, and the Raleigh area. We're going to see this band move off to the east as temperature profiles align correctly to allow for a small window of snowfall, even potentially accumulating snowfall in the cities that I just mentioned. So it's not strictly a mountains event, though the mountains are certainly seeing the highest totals, and we're not expecting any huge totals in places like Charlotte or Raleigh, North Carolina, the big population centers.
Thank you for that, Evan. I think I've pushed all the buttons and it looks like we're stable right now. So we will act like you guys can hear us and we'll continue to discuss this. So as Evan was talking about a big swath of winter storm warnings up for the area, let me pull up that for just a second here, kind of show you where these winter storm warnings are. And Evan, it started out as with the mountains, but we had a big chunk added today. I'm pulling up the map right now, so just bear with me, everyone, and we'll get that up for you. Kind of let you see if your location is in this winter storm warning, which most likely are if you live anywhere along Interstate 40. As you can see, this dark color right here is representative of all the winter storm warnings. Extends from the Greensboro, High Point, Asheboro area back to the west through Statesville, Salisbury, Mooresville, Hickory, into the Morganton, Lenoir, Marion, Asheville, Hendersonville, back towards Franklin and Silva, up into the Boone, Wilkesboro, Mount Airy area. So a large chunk of winter storm warnings. And then you can see the lighter colors here, winter weather advisories, even out for the Raleigh area up towards Henderson, Durham, Chapel Hill, down south towards Pinehurst, Charlotte, Concord, Gastonia, Shelby, even into the Rock Hill, and I'm sorry, that's special weather statement, my bad. Even into the northern parts of Greenville and Spartanburg County in the upstate of South Carolina. So lots of warnings and advisories out. And if you are in the warning, that just means that conditions, winter storm conditions are about to start. And the advisory, also winter storm conditions about to start, but just a little bit to lesser severity. So we are going to monitor that. Evan, I think you said before we got on here, you're already starting to see some precipitation up in your area.
We are, yes. So we've seen precipitation and especially snowfall move into portions of really southeastern Buncombe County, Henderson County, Rutherford County, Polk County, and McDowell counties. If you're in the higher elevations, you're doing a whole lot better. We have even seen, I've got a little bit of light accumulation here, but nothing measurable. I do believe that we are seeing accumulating and maybe even pushing 1 inch of snowfall out towards Bat Cave, North Carolina. sounds like the middle of nowhere. It's a beautiful little spot, but it is in prime position just to the north and west of Lake Lure, a bigger name. And that's where we're seeing the heaviest precipitation rates and sub 0 degrees Celsius, so sub freezing temperatures if you're above kind of 3,000, 3,500 feet, somewhere right in there. We are seeing, as you're pointing out on the radar right now, Scotty, precipitation move into all of Buncombe County at this moment. A little bit of potentially a mixed bag off to the west. Those flakes will quickly overspread the entire Western North Carolina area. Miss Scotty, I'll let you take it with this new radar look.
Yeah. So, are you seeing the radar scope radar or G?
I've got GR2.
Okay, good. So, yeah, that's the one I was wanting to pick up, and you can kind of see these bright colors over Polk and Rutherford down into southern Cleveland County. That looks to be sleet. We call that bright banding, and what happens is the radar picks up on this precipitation, and since sleet is kind of an icy object, the reflectivity is a little bit higher in the radar band, and so you can kind of see this red and orange representing some sleet mixing in. But as Evan was talking about, Buncombe County, especially the southern part, starting to see some snow. We've already got a half an inch report out of the Little River area in Henderson County as well. I think that's what you were talking about earlier, Evan, about Bat Cave and those areas. Here's the South Mountains. You can kind of see some snowfall picking up on radar. But right now, temperatures are still above freezing, especially outside of the mountains. It looks like Asheville is at 34 degrees right now. Let's see. I don't have a temperature for Hendersonville. I was going to see what that was going to be. But Asheville, 34. And Evan, a lot of folks may think, hey, it's above freezing. How can we get snow? It's not about what's happening here at the surface, but what's happening aloft. And those temperatures aloft, a couple of thousand feet in the air, are below freezing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, just right above our heads, it's below freezing, especially in these locations where it's near freezing, like the Asheville Airport at 34 degrees. All it takes is some heavy snowfall, and you pretty much immediately start to see accumulation. Your soil temperature does not have to be 32 degrees or below. In fact, I believe soil temperatures currently are right around 40 degrees, and we're still seeing accumulation. So there are, certainly myths that, oh, the ground's going to be too warm for accumulation. But with the proper heavy snowfall, and even if temperatures are above freezing, you can still see some good accumulation. Now we do need to see steady rates if we want that accumulation to stick around. We can't just have little bursts because it will begin to melt in between.
Yeah, and that's the point. Looks like we're having a little bit of technical issues here again with some streaming issues. So apologize if you can't hear us, but some questions about the Pigeon Forge area of Tennessee. I think there's some winter weather advisory out or winter storm warning. I don't know. I know there's some type of winter product out for that area. But it looks like the major snowfall totals are actually going to be along the escarpment and to the east of the Great Smokies as you get into Tennessee and on that side of the mountain. Not as it doesn't look to be as snowy as it will be in the North Carolina mountains and off the escarpment there. So we're looking at Evan. This is going to be a pretty long event. You were talking about earlier, this is going to come in waves. We're going to see a wave overnight and then a intense band of heavy snow possible for the Friday afternoon time. And that's when we could see it really start to accumulate.
Yeah, and that's the biggest unknown at this moment. Where exactly will that heavy band set up Friday afternoon, and where will that pivot point be? If you're located in Western North Carolina and you happen to be underneath that heaviest band in that pivot point, you absolutely could see every bit of 4 to 8 inches, if not more. 4 to 8 inches really is the current forecast from the National Weather Service for most of Western NC, all through Buncombe County and the population centers. But there is potential for more of that upper end of the range underneath that heavier band tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures could get a little bit fickle in some of the really low elevation areas by tomorrow afternoon. So that could also play into snowfall totals. There's a lot going on right here, a 30-mile difference in the positioning of the low pressure down to our southeast it will make all the difference on where that van sets up. I wish we could say that we know where it's going to set up, but at this moment, we're just kind of throwing darts at a board.
Yeah, it is. It's a very tricky situation with this winter storm. So we are having some issues on our Facebook Live. I'm not sure why we are having these issues, but if you can hear us, we are also streaming on Periscope and Twitch and YouTube. You can go to YouTube and check out our updates here. But uh, again, a very active pattern. We're looking at this event coming in, and we've been looking at it for a while. And over the last 3 or 4 days, it's really intensified into looks to be a winter storm unfolding across North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina. And if you live in places like Columbia, you still can't rule out an isolated snowflake down in that area. We're getting some questions from Columbia, but it doesn't look like the accumulating snow, at least, is going to be up in that area or down in that area. It's just going to be too warm. And like Evan said, a track of 20, 30 miles can make all the difference of who sees the cold air and who kind of is hovering right above freezing and doesn't get that snowfall. So, Evan, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream because we're having issues big time.
That sounds good.
All right, hold on. Let me end this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my internet or what, but